guys, so today I'm going to be doing a Pretty Little Liars update, recap, and thoughts kind of video, I guess you could say. This show I am just completely obsessed with, and I've been obsessed with it ever since it's aired, and I literally need to go ahead, and I can't even ramble because I have so many points that I want to talk about, and it's pretty sad that I made a list. Ooh, you can see my light, but I made a list because the show was so all over the place. There's no way I could just sit down and then just like talk about it. No, there needed to be a list. So the first thing, I think the last time I talked about Pretty Little Liars was like 2 seasons ago, and when it just recently started up again, it left off where you found out Toby he's coming out of the mental asylum, and he's like talking with Mona, so you know that they're together in part of the A-Team. So that's where it left off. Then it starts up with him in like his black hoodie in a car, like running over, I believe it was, what's his name? Lucas. He was running over Lucas and when he was skateboarding. So like throughout the first episode, you just pretty much find out that Mona and Toby are together. Mona's trying to be nice to the girls. She like comes back to school and, you know, just basically still making their lives miserable. And, you know, all the same BS that's been going on. One of the most exciting or things that kind of caught you off guard in that first episode, I believe it was the first episode, it was the diary from the janitor. Now you see Mona and the janitor talking, and you realize that the janitor was the same guy who was at that one motel that they went to when they were trying to find out where A's hideout was. So it's the same guy who ran that hotel, which I thought was like, what? Like, I don't even know where they come up with putting these characters into certain things, but I was just like, how is the guy from the motel and then the janitor, how can they be, like, why are they the same person, and why is the guy from the motel working at the high school? Like, it was just so weird, and I was honestly confused on the whole thing. I was so confused, but you end up finding out that he was, like, obsessed with Mona, I guess, and stole a diary from the room that she was staying in at the motel, which was really like A's hideout. He stole the diary and thought it was Mona's, but really it was Allie's. And in the diary, it had pages on when Allie was talking about how she was blackmailing Arya's dad for money because she knew Arya's dad had an affair with Meredith. And Meredith is a whole nother story, let me just say. She had basically found out that Arya's dad was having an affair and so on. So when they go down there to get the journal, they originally went down to the janitor's office, I guess you could say, because they just wanted to find out why he was working at the school. So they go down to his office and they see a bunch of A's things, like the mask that he wore, the Halloween costume, or the Halloween party, and like this journal, and they had just found a bunch of stuff. So when they go back down to the room to search through it all, everything's gone besides the diary. So they open up the diary, and that's when they find out about Allie blackmailing Arya's dad, and so then they're like freaking out. They're like, oh my god, Arya's dad must be the one who killed Allison. So now they're all like frightened of him, and it's just like this big thing. And so then Arya's dad goes out of town, and Meredith is left alone with Arya at her house, which that in itself is just like, why would Arya's dad leave her with Meredith when she knows that she doesn't like Meredith? Because in a couple episodes back, Meredith thought that the girls had lit her on fire in some room. You know, it's just so much. It's just really so much. I don't know why she'd be left alone with Meredith, but she was. And Meredith basically was talking to her because her and, what's his name? I can't even remember Arya's dad's name. It's some weird name. Byron or something. Byron and Meredith had an argument, and Arya had walked in or overheard what was going on, so she opened up her door, and Arya's dad is like grabbing Meredith's arm, like being really aggressive, and so Arya was like kind of freaked out because she already has it in her mind that he's killed Allison, and she's probably just a big cluster mess. She's left with Meredith, and Meredith is talking to her about what had happened, and Meredith basically said that the night that Allie was killed, him, Byron, and Meredith were together, and he left Meredith's apartment and went to go talk to Allie, and Meredith was saying how she told him, no, you don't need to go over there, please don't go, but he went anyway. So when he's going over there, that's the flashback that we saw from Garrett whenever he said how he had watched Allie and Arya's dad talk. That is what had happened. So all we have in our minds is that Allie's dad was the last person to see Allison. Well, after Meredith tells Arya that, she's freaking out, and then all of a sudden Arya starts to get really sick, so Meredith makes her like this crazy potion of tea, and you find out she's actually putting like medicine in there to make her go to sleep. I think it was like clonazepam or something, which, by the way, I work in the pharmacy and that's some strong stuff, so I don't even know why she would do that. Just give her some like NyQuil D or something. Anyway, she ends up putting pills in Arya's tea that makes her go to sleep, and it's just it's seriously so much stuff. The show is like, to me, the show is getting to the point where it's so confusing. Like, I don't even know if they know what's going to happen next. Like, I feel like they're just kind of going along. Like, I really don't feel like the show's ever going to end. But anyways, I'm getting off track. I'm going to stick to my list because I'm getting off track. Okay, so she makes the tea, and then Meredith goes crazy and locks Arya downstairs in the basement. And then Hannah and Emily get down there, and she throws them down there too. And so then when Byron gets back from his trip that night, she's like, the girls know about the diary. They know that you saw Allison that night, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, so? Like, he knows that he didn't kill her, so he wasn't that concerned about it. And so he goes down there and, talks to them and tells them that he didn't kill her. And so then he sends Meredith on her way, calls the police on her, checks her into hopefully some type of mental ward because she's a psycho. And he's talking to Arya, and basically you see a flashback of him, the same flashback that we saw with Garrett, but then you see Allison say, this is your last chance, Mr. Montgomery, otherwise I'm going to tell your wife that you were with Meredith. And so then he's like, okay, I'll deal with my consequences, basically is what he was saying. So he walks off, and then in this flashback you see Spencer's sister on the phone on the porch of the house that Allison was at. So it's basically kind of leaving you suspicious, like, okay, so now we know Arya's dad wasn't the last person to see her. It was Spencer's sister. That's the last you hear of Spencer's sister. So you find out that Arya's dad was not the one who was last to see her. It was Spencer's sister. That's where it kind of leaves off with that, because you haven't seen Spencer's sister in like this whole recent season. Somehow Hannah got a hold of a key that A had dropped when he, I think either Toby or Mona, one of the two, set Hannah up to go on some fake interview, and they knocked into her with some like mannequin or something, and a key fell out of their pocket. And so the key that fell out was a key that I guess was to their like A headquarters. And so Hannah has this key, and she doesn't want to have anything to do with it, so I believe she gives it to Spencer. And Spencer holds on to it, doesn't really know what to do with it. And so her and Toby were in the kitchen. Hold on, I'm trying to get back to my notes. Her and Toby were like planning something for their anniversary. They're in the kitchen talking about it, and he opens up the drawer because I think they're like making food or something while they're talking, and he sees a key that says A, and he's like, what is this? Clearly he knows. No words for Toby. He's like, what is this? And she's like, oh, it's not what you think. It's something, I can't remember what she said. She said some excuse. It was like some random key. She made up some line. He was like, oh, okay. So then she puts it in the drawer, and he watches her put the key in the drawer. So she wanted to surprise him for their anniversary that night, so she told him that she had to go on a dinner with her parents, and she couldn't do anything that night, and she would call him later. And he said he was going to work and he'd be back at a certain time. So he gives Emily the key to his apartment to give to Spencer, because after they had left, Spencer wanted to, I don't even know what happened, honestly. I think Emily needed somewhere to study it, and so Toby gave her the key to lock it up after she had left, and then really that was a plan to give the key to Spencer, so then whenever she really wasn't at the dinner, she could go to Toby's and unlock it and get everything ready. While she was there, she opens up a drawer and finds a badge that has Toby's name on it, and it was a badge to Radley, the institutional crazy center that Mona was at. So you never really see Spencer grab it and look at it. She kind of just opens up the drawer and it's sitting there, and the whole episode I'm like, she better freaking find that badge and confront Toby, because I was so mad. I was like, if that thing is sitting right there and she doesn't find it throughout the whole episode, I'm gonna be ticked. Then the next scene, you see someone in like a black hoodie in Spencer's house. They're digging through the drawer that she had put the key in, and then you see Spencer behind the person. You don't know if it's Toby or Mona at first. You see her behind them, and she's like holding up the key, and she was like, is this what you're looking for? And then you turn around and she sees Toby in the hoodie. I seriously, like, I was so happy, so shocked, and like just so sad all at the same time. I was like I wanted her to know that it was Toby who was part of the A-team. But I mean, deep down, I didn't want her to know. I mean, I did, but it's just so sad because they were so cute together and she invested so much time in him. But anyway, she looks at him and she was like, is this what you're looking for? And he was like, how long have you known? Basically, like, how long have you known that I was A? So then she holds up the badge, and then of course, like all shows go, Spencer's mom walks in behind them, and she's like, what's going on? And I think Spencer had like slapped Toby across the face or something, and then her mom walks in, and then she turns around and Toby's gone. I'm like, seriously? Like, if you're already caught in the act, just stay where you're at and explain. Like, no words to describe this show. So then Spencer's like crying on her mom's shoulder, like it was probably one of the saddest things I've ever seen in my entire life. And anyone else who watched the show, like if they were to just see that episode, they'd be like, oh my god, this is so stupid. But like when you've invested so much time in the show and you know the characters like that, it's really sad. I was so sad. And so you see her like crying, and then I think that was the end of the episode. So then the next episode, Spencer, all the girls were asking Spencer how the anniversary dinner went, and she was basically saying it was alright. Like, she wasn't really saying too much about it. She was saying it didn't end up working out. Toby had to work late, which I don't know why she won't just tell them that Toby is A. I haven't grasped the fact. Like, I don't understand what her reasoning is behind it. So if you guys know, leave a comment below, because I don't know why they couldn't just say, like, she couldn't just tell the girls, like, I found out Toby was part of the A-team, he was looking for this key. Like, I don't get it. They're just trying to make everything complicated. That's honestly what I feel. Then she tells, like, the girls were just like, okay. So then you see Emily. Her parents are, like, putting her on lockdown ever since the whole thing with Landon, or whatever his name was. So she hasn't been really able to go anywhere. She gets a package from Landon's family addressed to her, and I guess it was some things that he had stole from Maya's house that were really Emily's, that were left for Allie, because Maya moved into Allie's house. So I guess Landon's family was just trying to like give them back to her and say, here's your things, you know, blah blah blah. So she's reading through these journals that were from like biology class. She comes across notes in the back that are saying, I can't tell him, he's gonna be so mad, something about like the beach hottie, have you told him what had happened? And they don't name any names. You know, one of the handwriting is Allison's, but they couldn't figure out who the other handwriting was. So Emily's like searching through it, and she finds a picture in the back, and it's with Allie, and I believe her name is Cece. Oh, I don't know, that may not be her name. The blonde-headed girl that was friends with Allie. They found a picture of her and Allie at this camp, like some lake, and so Emily goes to Cece. If that's not her name, I'm really sorry, but I really feel like that's her name. She goes to her and she's like, do you know who the beach hottie was? And she basically says, no, Allie never told me his name. There was a lot of hot guys that summer that she was messing around with. So then she goes on to tell Emily that one night when they're at that lake, over for a couple weeks, Allie pulls her aside and says that she was late, she missed her period, she might be pregnant, she's 2 weeks late, and basically that's all you hear about that. So Cece tells Emily that, and Emily's like, Allie was pregnant, and she was like, she really thought she was. She's never missed her period, she missed it, she was 2 weeks late, and she was freaking out that the guy who the dad might be would kill her. Allie said that the guy would kill her if he found out. And so Emily's like, well, wouldn't they know in like an autopsy report? And she was basically saying it might be like the body was discovered almost a year later, so any evidence of that, I'm pretty sure, would have been out the door. So that's why it was never discovered. And so then Emily's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. I'm going to take this journal to the police. So she takes it to the police, and as she's there, she's talking to her mom because her mom works there. And Detective Holden, I believe his name was talking to Emily's mom, basically saying how whenever he first started out working as a police officer, he had to kill someone, I guess in self-defense. He was trying to say, really, it wasn't. He said he never fully recovered from that. He said the person that he killed deserved to die. He knew that they needed to die, but he still lives with the fact that that he killed someone every single day. And he said it was a year ago, or a couple years ago, which was when Allie had died. And so basically, like, whenever he was saying that, I was like, this seems kind of weird. Like, why is he telling Emily's mom that? Like, it was really weird. And so then Emily comes in, gives him the journal. He's like, you're doing the right thing. So then she's talking to her mom. Her mom's going to check out of work so they can go home and get something for dinner. And Emily sees on the bulletin board a picture of the detective and a friend at the same lake that Allie was at that summer. And basically, it kind of leads you to believe that Detective Holden and Allie got together that summer because Allie had always mentioned she was with an older boy. So it kind of leads you to believe that they were together. He got her pregnant, and then killed her. That's my theory. If you guys have any other theories, let me know in the comments, because like I said, I'm very confused on this whole show, but that is what I have came to. That's my conclusion as of right now. And so then Emily is like freaking out. And so then the next episode, she goes back to get the picture off the bulletin board. Of course, I was like, you know what, that picture's not going to be there. It wasn't. It was gone. So she goes back. She can't find the picture. And so then Spencer is just a crazy mess. She's like depressed, which I can completely understand. And she really won't tell anyone what happened. I think she's only told Emily that they had broke up or whatever. So she's like really upset and depressed. She's in class one day. She gets a text from saying that, she gets a text from Aria saying, I told Ezra that he had a baby. He broke up with me, meet me in the park. So she goes to the park. Aria's nowhere to be found, but poor little old Ezra is in the park on his computer minding his own business, and Spencer is like screaming at him saying, how could you break up with Aria because you had a kid? It was really hard for her to keep that from you. She was going to tell you because she felt like you needed to know, and Ezra had no idea about it. And I was like, I wanted to punch Spencer so bad. I was like, God, like, keep your mouth shut. So that's what happens in that episode. And then in the next episode, Emily can't take, I guess, the thought that she killed someone. Her mind's like going crazy. So she decides to go back to the therapist from like the very beginning of the Pretty Little Liars episodes, the lady that all the girls had to go to. And so she ends up going to her and telling her like she killed someone. She can't believe that she did that, even though it was in self-defense. She's really upset about it. And the therapist says, well, have you ever tried hypnotherapy? And Emily's like, no, but let's do it. And it basically I guess she was saying it's going to do is take you back to times that something had happened, and you can, see things more clearly. Not that you don't remember, but you can just remember certain details. So Emily is supposed to be going back in time in her head when she killed Landon to kind of get over it, but she really goes back in time to where she killed Allie. You see her in a flashback with Allie with like a shovel, and she's taking the shovel, and Allie was like, what are you doing? You can't do this. And you see Emily like with the shovel like going after her and like thrashing her with it. And literally that's like the only important thing that happened in that episode, so that's all I'm gonna say about that. But when that episode got over, I was with my sister and I was like, what does this mean? Like, I was like, does this mean that she was the one who killed Allie all along and she didn't remember? Because I find that very hard to believe. Like, I was like, this is a joke. I was like, I'm done with the show. This is a joke. Joke, 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 joke. So then in the next episode, Spencer was like looking, she hired a detective to find where the key was, to find out where the key led that Toby was searching for in her house. And the detective ends up finding out where it had led, and it was A's headquarters. I mean, Spencer knew that's what it was. So she opens up the door to the room that the key led to, that the guy had given her the address for, and everything is gone. All the pictures, all the like setups they had, all their planning, all the desk chairs, all their like uniforms, everything was gone. And she like broke down in tears and was crying because she knew that Toby knew she was going to find out where that key led, and she was hoping that he would just keep everything where it was so she could find out the bottom of everything. And when she walked into the room and everything was gone, she basically knew like him and her were never going to be together, and that he took everything out of the room for a reason. He didn't want her to know. He is not doing any good. He's doing something bad, and basically that crushed all my dreams of Toby being a good guy, because once I saw that, I was like, yeah, no. She's still going crazy, and so once she finds it out, she runs to where all the girls are because Jason's parents and him decided to put her body into like a museum, like those inside type of graves. And so Spencer said she didn't want anything to do with it. And so then she, after she leaves the room, she goes to the museum and she like blurts out in front of everyone. She was like, or because the girls already knew, but she blurts out to Jason. She was like, I think you need to know something. Allie was pregnant, and the best part is she got pregnant from Detective Holden. And Jason was like, what are you talking about? And like storms out. All the girls are mad at her. And I'm just like, come on, Spencer, like, come on. And at the same time, I'm kind of with her. I'm like, stop keeping secrets from everyone. Just let everyone know. Because honestly, that's what started the whole thing, was secrets. So, all the girls are mad at her. They all leave, and as they're walking out, there's like these sprinklers that come on, and Emily like has like some type of flashback, and she flashes back to her standing in front of the grave, and she sees herself with a shovel again, and she is like, no, what are you doing? You can't do this. And it's someone in like a black hoodie digging up Allie's grave, but she has the shovel in her hand. And so basically, she got her stories mixed up in her head when she was getting hypnotized by the therapist. She really didn't kill Allie, which I was so thankful for. Praise the Lord. She basically just got her stories mixed up. So basically, she was seeing in her head the night that she had got drugged by someone, and, you know, the whole Allie grave dig up ordeal. So as she's standing there with the shovel, she is saying like, no, what are you doing? You can't do this. She looks to the left or the right or something, and she sees a girl with blonde hair and like a red coat, which, by the way, that was so creepy. Oh my God. Like, I was creeped the F out. She sees some girl in this hood, and so then she's like, it was kind of like a Raven, like from That So Raven. She was like her vision had stopped, and she was telling the girl, she was like, I didn't kill her, I didn't hurt her, I got my stories mixed up. I saw a girl the night that I was drugged at the grave who had blonde hair and a red coat. And instantly Hannah's like, okay, which, by the way, I love Hannah, like, I seriously love her. She was like, okay, so can we all just not, like, can we just skip over the BS, and can we just ask, do you guys think that was Allison? And whenever she said that, I was like, if it ends up being Allison this whole time and she never freaking died, I'm gonna flip. I'm gonna friggin' flip. That's what like the books were. And everyone was like, oh, the show isn't like the books. But I've read and I've done research on the show, and they don't say anything or do anything in the show that does not mean something. So when Hannah said, is that Allison? That has to be a clue that something along those lines is gonna go down. And if Allison is not friggin' dead, I am gonna shoot myself. And okay, let's say even if she isn't dead, what would her motive be to torture these girls? And why would she... Oh, I can't anymore. I can't. So that's where the episode left off, and there was a few other things that happened in there. Ezra left to go meet his son, which I totally understand. And so yeah, that's basically everything that's happened. And I know this is a very jumbled, mixed up video, but that's everything that's happened since I've last talked about Pretty Little Liars. And honestly, I don't know who I think A is anymore. Like the head leader, I don't want to believe it's Allison. It could be the Cece girl. If that's not her name, like I said, I am sorry, but I really feel like her name is Cece. Or maybe it's Meredith. Maybe it is Meredith because she was acting a little cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in that last episode. Maybe she killed Allison because she didn't want her to tell Byron's wife about their affair. She wanted her and Byron to be together, and she didn't like Allison or something. I really don't know anymore, honestly. Maybe it's Meredith, maybe it's not. But I do 100%, I'm going to stick to my word. I do believe that the detective got her pregnant and killed her. I believe he's the one who killed her, honestly, because he's been there since day one. He's been like harassing them and just making all these weird accusations towards the girls. And it's just, I can't stop watching the show just because I want to get to the end. And my sister always says this every time we watch the show. She was like, whenever they finally reveal who A is, there better be a long clip of what, like, how it all played out, because I don't want to just get, oh, this person's A. I want a freaking long flashback clip, and I want all the pieces put together on who A was, because this show's getting real annoying and real annoyed. Who knows what's going to happen in this next episode. I really hope we find out some really good information. I hope Spencer comes to her senses and tells the girls why she's been a psycho, because they would completely understand. I mean, if my boyfriend was a psycho killer who was harassing me for 2 years, I'd be a little bit nuts too. But she needs to just spill the beans, and it's really sad that I feel like this show is my life. But I know a lot of other people who are the same way. So yeah, that's it for my little rant on Pretty Little Liars. And oh, one more thing, if this season is not done with and I don't know who A is and the season is completely over and there's no more Pretty Little Liars, if they drag this on one more season, I am not watching it, because it's a very stressful show to watch. It's very stressful because I get really into these shows, and so when I don't find something out and I know I have to wait another week, I'm like anxious for like 7 days. I'm like, okay, like, I know I'm going to be anxious a whole other week, and I'm going to find out one thing, and it's going to be the last 3 minutes of the episode. So, just a little FYI. If the season is not ended this season and the show is over, I will not watch it. Yes, I will. But I don't want to. So, yeah, you guys, that is it for this rant video. Leave me your comments and theories down below on what you guys think is going to happen in the episode, and just anything you guys think I missed that would maybe be an important key factor into the show, because I'm really confused on everything. So yeah, just leave me you guys' thoughts down below, and go ahead and follow my Instagram, because I always post pictures during Pretty Little Liars because I'm obsessed. And yeah, it'd be fun to talk to you guys during the episode, because I don't have Twitter. I use Instagram all the time. So yeah, I will talk to you guys later.